I'm watching an interesting conversation between Russell Brand and Derren Brown, you know, the hypnotist, illusionist, and healer. Well, he explains how he got into healing. Well, he came from a Christian religious background and became an atheist and so on. But then he started, as far as I understand, basically trying to fake healing and then found that it worked. And it's interesting to see how someone comes in there from a materialistic point of view. I thought, well, it isn't really anything mystical, magical about it, because our body has the ability to heal. Wounds heal and all kinds of things. There is this healing process going on there. Everyone knows that. And we also know that our mind and our emotional life affects our body. I mean, he mentioned there how he got people all filled with adrenaline, which works as a painkiller, when he did his stage performances there, Brown, and then the pain went away. And the very fact that the hormone goes out there in the body, ruled by the mind, and all this takes place, instigated by the mind, it is a very practical example of mind over matter. You don't have to see it as mystical or whatever. And the second thing is talking about this faith healing stuff of the Christian kind. You know, you're there, you have some disease, and you go to the faith healer, some session there, and yeah, you feel better. But then if you start to get sick again, they will say that, oh, it's because you don't have enough faith, and so on. Well, I like to see it this way. You know, when you use suggestions in hypnosis, I mean, we know that this can cause these kind of effects, even remove pain, but they wear off after a while. Every hypnotist, hypnotherapist knows that suggestions are more about treating the symptoms, but if you really want to get a change, then you need to get deeper down into what is feeding this to start with. So there are these different levels. So I would say these kind of faith healing sessions where you get all wild up and like that, it's just natural that they wear off after a while, because you haven't really changed that depth there. You just made a dent into your mind like that. And that's why they say in India, in the yoga system, for instance, that all the impressions we get in life, especially the strong, powerful ones during childhood and so on, they make what they call vrittis, vortexes, movements and impressions there in the mind. And if they are strong enough, they can last for a lifetime. And that's what builds up our character, but it can also be what causes our wounds, our traumas, and cripples us, which is of course what therapy is about, unwinding those stuck scars, whatever, down there. So it's simple, really. It's a matter of lasting impressions in the mind, deep, deep down there. We all know it's nothing controversial that mind is very deep, and there are unknown levels of our mind which still feed a lot of our emotions and activities and desires and decisions and what's going on. You could do the faith healing thing, or you could do the suggestion thing, but when you start to go deeper, that's when it really starts to get interesting, because that's what I say here. Down there in the subconscious or unconscious or deep mind, the deeper you go, the deeper you look, the closer you get to the self, to the actual pure and more powerful and central core of yourself, of us. And once you get to that point, it opens up something. then you're naturally, and without any mysticism or anything like that, by plain practicality, standing there dealing with the deep existential level of your consciousness, which again is nothing mystical, it's just us, the ones who are here all the time. I mean, it's not that we're hidden anywhere, we're in the middle of it all. And that's where you can stand comfortably and deal with, for instance, meditation, yoga, and all these self-realization paths and techniques, if you want to call it that you find in the East, for instance. You don't have to always take that polarized stance there that, no, I'm a materialist, I only believe in matter and nothing else can exist, and therefore this can't exist. I think the wisest way to go, if you're a scientific-minded person, rational, and you want to really stay on that secure ground, is to just deal with it like that, hands-on, no need for interpretation or jumping into all kinds of ramifications or extrapolations or consequences of accepting the mind over matter, or I have to become religious or so. I mean, it's often that fear that people have, I think, that I can believe that maybe that's also what Derren Brown has been going through. An avoidance of that, rightly so, of the religion, standard old-time religion, which then makes the pendulum swing, and then there you are, I'm a rationalist, and free from that. But then I think that now, and it goes for all of us, I think, the whole civilization, that we need to mature. We need to bring that pendulum into some kind of balanced state. Just like we need to bring this whole world into a balanced state, because that's when it works. It's not a static, it's a dynamic, but it's an harmonious dynamic. And each and every one of us in our own way has that responsibility, I think, to do that. And it's interesting, I got a different impression of Derren Brown now, because when I saw his stage performances when he was doing this fake healing of people, I was bewildered because I didn't know why he was doing that. Because I'd seen him before being a bit cynical about these kind of things. It appeared to me that he was doing this mainly to expose it. Just like some magicians, they go and they pretend to be mediums or things like that, and then they show afterwards that, oh, I was just faking it, thinking that this means that now I have exposed all the others because they are also faking, which is a ridiculous idea, fallacious logic, I would say, because just because you can fake something doesn't mean that the real thing is fake too. It's silly. So I perceived him like that, therefore I didn't like him so much at that time, although he's very expert at what he's doing and entertaining and smart. But when I hear him now talking there on this YouTube video there with Russell Brand, then it's interesting because it seems he's not like that. That he actually started doing it for testing these healing practices because he understood how you do it. Just like this adrenaline thing, you can get people into a state of mind which makes them feel less pain. So he just did it. And then he was surprised to see and discovered that it actually worked when he used those techniques that the healers use. He found that they actually worked. People who couldn't move their arms properly could suddenly do that right there in the audience. And I think that's a fascinating thing, and it doesn't really come out very well. Not many may understand that, but now I'm getting interested to understand what this guy is doing. I mean, he's like 50-something now, and it seems like there's a change there in his life. He feels he needs to look more at the bigger things of life, which I can appreciate. So it's interesting that these discussions are going on among people on that level, talking about these things.